All right, I have a special treat in store where I'm a big fan of Brad Lee on the Dropping Bombs podcast, and I saw this gentleman, Lance Bachmann, not that long ago, and I was like, man, this guy's dropping some serious value bombs. I reached out to him, so thanks for joining us today, Lance.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. It's nice to see you.
Absolutely,
Thanks for reaching out.
absolutely. So, tell for those that don't know who you are, who is Lance Bachmann?
Just an everyday regular person. Nothing special about me except for probably my wife and kids would tell you something different, right?
Yeah.
Own multiple companies, growing, sold four companies now to private equity in four different verticals. I think that's why people follow my story. I think people are shocked to hear, hey man, this guy went into the HVAC, sold to private equity, roofing, painting, digital marketing. I've owned and I've sold for over $100 million. And I love growing companies. I love taking those small organizations, those small companies, scaling them, putting systems and processes in place, and getting them ready to sell to private equity. I think there's no better gift than hand someone a big check, life-changing money, and take that journey with them. So it's pretty honorable and it's fun, and we enjoy doing it. Before that, I owned a digital marketing company, one SEO for about 15 years. I sold to private equity, and then I was one of the founders of yellowpages.com outside premise team, grew out to 159 million, 900 employees. And just 50 years old this year, man. Just been grinding.
All right. Yeah, you and I are about the same age then. We got to have to celebrate our number 50 together.
No doubt, man. What are you doing? Anything good?
We're looking at just going somewhere, taking the boys, my wife and I, and somewhere we've never been before. So we're throwing some kind of crazy places out around. So we'll see what happens. How about you?
Nothing. I'll be with my family.
Gotcha.
I don't do anything. I'm with my kids the whole time. I'm a loser, man. I work and I'm with my loser. I'm with my kids.
No, we're taking them with us for the 50th. So we'll let them kind of decide where to go. So
You're gonna wind up at Disney World, man, hanging yourself.
So you and I, one of the stories that really resonated to me on your podcast was your position at AT&T and then what you did after that. Because there's a lot of people that are watching this that are physicians or dentists or high income professionals. They make a lot of money, but they're W-2 employee. Some of them are 1099s. A lot of them are facing burnout. They're wanting to get out of the rat race or get to the point where work is optional. So tell us a little bit about your journey, what you did at AT&T and how you were able to transition out to what you do now.
Well, I think, at AT&T when I was vice president for the whole entire country, you know, I love it. I had a great experience. I had a great CEO, Charles. I've been blessed. I had a great CEO, Charles Stubbs. I got to spend time with Ray Wilkins, one of the best leaders you'll ever meet. Randall Stevenson, the CEO of AT&T, Neil Salvage, the man that hired me, Danny Deal, the person that helped groom me. People say to me like, "Why would you never work in corporate America?" And corporate America, and I'm like, it's not that I don't think people should work in corporate America. I think if that's what you want and there's a way to make great money and have a great life, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Because you meet a lot of great people that will help you, right? I did. That was my experience. Um, for me to go out on my own, it was, hey, listen, I'm going to work 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day for this organization. Sometimes it was 20 hours a day. I can go do this for myself and make a better living and not probably have to travel. At the time, I was traveling all over the country, opening up offices. Really fell into a bad depression when my brother Joe died. He OD'd on heroin. 2 years today, April 19th, I left AT&T. It was either it was funny. Someone said to me, like, was it really that bad? I'm like, I remember flying home and, and a Marine lost his brother and he was going home to tell his mother that he lost his brother over there. Couldn't even tell her over the phone. He flew home. I saw this man crying the whole time. I was like, man, this ain't nothing. Like, I miss my brother Joe and he'd want me to quit. And that's what made me quit. I said, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, if I'm having these depressing thoughts, not happy, and that was the best decision I made. But I can't say a bad word about corporate America. I know that's not what somebody wants to hear from an entrepreneur standpoint. I think there's a place for corporate America for people that wanted to have security, but it's a fake sense of security. I tell people, because your job can be ripped at any single time. You know, for me, it was, hey, listen, I'm going to go build something. I didn't know what it was that I was going to build. I can tell you that honestly. I knew it was going to be in the digital marketing space. And I called myself,
That was your skill set at AT&T.
yeah,
Digital marketing.
yellowpages.com. Yeah. I mean, at that time, like I was probably one of the best at that time, building companies. And I literally, I literally took that and said, let me go harness my skill sets, do it myself. My only goal was become the best digital marketer in the country. And I think I did that and achieved that in about 5, 6 years. But there's a difference between being the best digital marketer and making money. Like you be great at digital marketing, but if you don't have people working for you, you're only going to make, because your time is your commodity, right?
Right.
So if everybody wants your time, you can only make so much money. You can only charge so much. So I really, after probably about 8 years in business, I figured out, listen, if I want to make real money, I got to scale this thing, probably 7 years. And then we just started scaling, and I sold to private equity 7 months ago.
Awesome. And then from there, did you go into, I know you do the roofing now, or did you do something else after
No,
the
I own HVAC company I sold, own a painting company I sold,
Mhm.
owned a roofing company I sold now, plus one SEO I sold. I own, my first roll up, I took 3 roofing companies that were all 40 years plus and turned them into one. I diluted the stock. We had buy-in. Pretty amazing. I mean, we got a great team. We just actually doing our first $200,000 day. We rolled up last week, and today we're doing $200,000 in sales in one day. Two hundred
Wow.
thousand dollars in one day. And yeah, your mind is so powerful. You have to believe, and you got to let people know that's the fucking vision. Like that's where it's going, and that's just the start of it. In another year, we'll be doing 500,000 a day, and you aim small, miss small. I tell people that all the time. I own an IT company. I own a Titan Pro company. I own an HVAC company still. I own a ton of real estate. I'm going to continue to buy organizations and grow companies, and I'm going to make a lot of people into multimillionaires. There's people that don't 100% believe in themselves. You have a family and a home here that we're going to build something great together. And I felt that way about myself until I knew better.
So the people that are watching this or listening to this, and maybe they feel like they're stuck in their W-2 or whatever. What are maybe some of the first steps that they could take to maybe start to transition out? And
You're stuck where? Like that, I say to people, like, stuck where? What do you don't need money. You want money.
well, they'll call me and go, Jeff, I've been practicing for 20, 25 years. I'm burned out. I don't know how to do anything else but, treat patients, or, if it's an attorney, sue people or whatever, but I don't want to do this forever. I don't know what to do, you know?
So it's simple. Surround yourself with people. First of all, know this. If you want out of the rat race, right, of the day to day, you have to take a step back. Social media is not real. All these bullshit podcast people and all these, I say this all the time. When is business coaching become a fucking business? If you're so good at growing businesses, grow fucking businesses. I don't coach. I don't charge people. Hey, fly out to my place. Come out, spend a day for free. Mirror me. I'll hand you the playbook. Right? I'm not charging you $1,000 a month for an hour on a fucking on an hour on a Zoom when you can go to YouTube and get it for free.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, listen, with the information highway, you can get any information for free. So I have a different mindset of, you're so good at building businesses, build businesses, and people are going to be attracted to you. People are going to be attracted to you. Do I believe that there should be some coaching involved in your life, meaning sales coaching? Do I think sales is an art? Yes. We bring sales coaching in here, but I'm not going to bring a business coach in. Why am I bringing a business coach in? Can you tell me how to read P&Ls? Can you tell me what my everyday budgets are? Probably not. And when I ask you to do it, you're probably going to fumble around like a clown, right?
Mhm.
So what I would say to anyone, you got to be willing to take a step back. You got to be willing to take a step back to go forward. You got to change your mindset and say, take the what ifs off the table. What if what? What if I lose? What if I fail? Okay, what if I win? Right? Like, Like, I don't go into anything like that. Like, I have a 10-year-old son, and he has my mindset. My 8-year-old son, I'm trying to work on his mindset, and I'm saying to him all the time, just score points, have fun, score points and wrestle. Because I see the pressure on him to wanting to win. I'm like, don't worry about the outcome. Worry about the journey and the progression to get there. And the outcome will come. I promise you that. You're going to lose. And if you're burned out and you're not happy, the only person that can change that is yourself. No one can tell you what to do. No, a buddy of mine, his wife cheated on him. He's like, what should I do? And I'm like, why the fuck are you asking me for that advice? It ain't my wife that cheated on me. Why does my opinion matter? Right? Follow your heart, man.
So what about what are your thoughts about, and this was one of the things that you had really touched on a lot, is about leadership.
Yep.
And the importance of leadership, and how you've grown in that, and with ethics, and just being real genuine when you're leading people. So tell me about the importance of that and how you incorporate that into all of your companies.
See, everything starts with leadership, right? And that's why I teach my children, I teach all my leaders, right? People have to have clear vision, know what's happening, know where they stand. If things aren't good, things aren't good, right? And sometimes things just aren't good, right? That's just business. So you have to tell people that, right? And say, hey, this is what we're doing. I think if you don't have, I think if people aren't willing to follow you, believe in you, and see, but leadership isn't a part-time thing. It's 24/7. So I tell people the only time you really can't get a hold of me, the only time you can't get a hold of me is when I'm with my kids coaching. Outside of that, I'm available 24/7. My wife knows if I'm out to dinner, my phone rings, and it's one of my company's leaders, anyone, I'm going to answer the phone. If it's one of our partners, I'm going to answer the phone. And that's not me being rude. People are like, oh, you got to make time for your wife. I love my wife. I love my children. I love all of them. There's a time and place. Christmas Eve, I'm probably not answering the phone. Christmas Day, probably not answering the phone. But if I'm out on a Friday night and these people have the belief in me to work with me every single day and help build my dreams and help build their dreams, I can at least give them the courtesy to answer the phone. And my wife has to understand that. But it's probably not the wife for me. And that's okay. So I talk about leadership as 24/7, 7 days a week, and there's a lot to it. And I said to someone, he who wears the crown has the heaviest head. So make sure you want the heaviest head because a lot goes with it.
Oh, I had a guy that called me maybe 3 months ago, and he hadn't really expressed himself, a whole lot about him wanting to get out. I think he was like a surgeon or something. And he was just like scared to death, to tell his wife or whatever. And he was scared, like, what was this? Because he hadn't been out that long, like from his residency. But he was scared, like, what all his friends were going to say, what all his family's going to say, the haters out there, this and that. So somebody like that's in that situation, what would you recommend that they do, that are
I'd say
thinking those thoughts?
I'm gonna say this. This should make anyone not give a fuck what anyone thinks of them, right? I want you to close your eyes. Can you do me a favor? Close your eyes. Now picture your funeral, right? 50% of your friends that are guys, maybe not 50, but 25% are going to try and sleep with your wife inside of 30 days of you being dead. They're going to try and knock the draws off her. I know that's not the most appropriate thing to say, but that's the truth. 25% are going to call your wife and say, hey, an emergency came up. I can't make it, right? Something happened. The 50% that show up to your funeral are going to sit there that day and be sad and genuinely care about you. They're going to go home that night, maybe go to a bar, do a shot, drink. The next morning, they're getting up, they're focusing on their family. My 4 sons and my wife. Now, my brothers, I have 2 brothers. I have a brother. I have a sister that would be at my funeral, 2 sisters that would cry and truly mourn me and be like, wow, man, like my brother's dead, right? But they got to move on with their lives too. And they'll think about me on my birthdays and some holidays. My 4 sons are going to be wrecked, right? They're going to think about me every Christmas, every birthday, every holiday, every time something happens. They're the only ones I care what think of me. My wife, who I love tremendously, I care what she thinks of me. My wife's going to move on. I want my wife to move on. Meet another guy. Go out. Enjoy yourself. Don't get married. Don't be stupid. Don't give our kids Trust. Don't, or the estate that I left behind so hard for them. So when you close your eyes and you realize your sons or your daughters are the only ones that are going to miss you, truly miss you, and care about you, why the fuck do you care what Joe Smith down the street thinks about what you do for a living? Because the irony of this is Joe Smith really doesn't give a fuck about what you do every day. Because let me tell you something, you're nothing more than a soundbite at the bar for Joe Smith and some 3 fucking losers he's hanging out with. Their lives are so miserable, they find joy talking about you. So I don't give a fuck. And that's what I would say to that person. So why do you?
So with that being said, you see so many people, they'll sacrifice their family to quote, try to get ahead, and they lose that time, with their family, with their kids. So what do you say to that person that's doing that to make them realize, hey,
I just said this to a guy yesterday. He said he's getting divorced. He said, I'm going to work 12 to 14 hours a day. My ex-wife can take care of the kids, and I'm going to show her. I said, my friend, that's the last thing I would do. See, I'll go coach my kids tonight at wrestling. Then I'll coach football 2 nights a week. I'm at practice 3 to 4 nights a week. Unless I'm traveling to speak, I'm at practice. Because the time with my children, I can't get back. And when I die, once again, the only people I care that are at my deathbed and who are actually going to visit me in the hospital every single day, most likely, are going to be my children, my wife, my 2 sisters, and my 1 brother. Outside of that, everyone else might stop by once a week, once every 2 weeks till I'm thrown in the dirt. And none of them are going to come to my funeral, to the cemetery to visit me every year, but my kids will. So why would you sacrifice time with your children to get ahead in what? To have a bigger house? You don't need a bigger house. I just bought a farmhouse, right? And I'm building a house next to it. And I think altogether, it's like I have like 18,000 square feet on my property, right? 19,000 square feet, right? We use 3 rooms. My kids sleep in my bedroom every night, all my kids. We use our living room, and I use my kitchen, and I use my gym sometimes. Outside of that, there isn't a room in my property. I looked at my wife today and I said, what the fuck are we doing here? We don't use any of this. So what are you getting ahead for? What are you sacrificing for?
A lot of them are trying to keep up with the Jones, They're
what? That's the problem. Joneses don't care about you. I don't care about the Joneses. Keep up with what?
That's the American way, unfortunately,
But see, this is the thing. The guy said to me today in a meeting, he goes, but everyone's doing it. I said, leaders don't follow the herd. The herd follows the leaders. That's what I teach my sons. I'm not following the herd. I don't care about the American way, keep up with the Joneses. That's not what you should be teaching. And if someone's trying to keep up with the Joneses, already they lost. If you can't walk into a room and be confident in who you are, you lost.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've got an 18 and a 16-year-old, and I'm always talking to them about that. And another thing that I've talked to them about is their word, being accountable, because that's all you have, right? What are your thoughts about accountability?
Well, if you don't hold yourself accountable, nobody else will. Nobody else can hold you accountable once you're an adult. You don't have a mom and dad when you're an adult. Turn 18, nobody holds you accountable except for you. Listen, I always say this: discipline and will outsucceed skill any day of the week. Listen, I am a dumb man. I am not a smart man. I tell people this all the time. And people are like, oh, that's bullshit. You sold for over $100 million. You're a multimillionaire. Yeah. No, I'm a dumb man. What I'm very, very good at, though, is admitting my flaws and surrounding myself with great people. Right? So I hold myself, but what I do every single day, I'm up at 4 o'clock, 4:30. I work every single day. I sold 4 companies and not take one day off the day I sold. I worked the day I signed, that money hit the account. I still worked that day. I didn't even go out to a celebration dinner except for one time. After I sold one SEO, a few weeks later, me and my wife went to the Bahamas. We were supposed to be there for a week. That was shut down in about 3 days, 4 days, came home. So discipline takes you a long way. But most people aren't willing to be disciplined because they want to. They feel they got to go hang out with people and do these things you don't have to do.
So what if one of your kids comes to you and they've graduated high school and then like, Dad, I just school isn't for me. Okay, school's not for me, but I don't want to go dig ditches. I want to be successful. I want to make good money. What would you could, because there's a lot of kids out there that are thinking these thoughts because there's so many different ways to make money versus when you and I back then, it was just like, well, if you didn't go to school for a long time, you weren't going to be successful. But now you can be a YouTube millionaire, at 15 or whatever. So what would you
Well,
tell your kid if they said that to you?
life's short. It's the first thing I would tell my kids. Life's short. Number two, you got to be happy. Number three, don't worry about what the title is or what you're doing. What do you want? And that's what people don't ask. What do you want? I saw the guy today. He came up here, reached out to me on social media, was pitching me like 4 different things. I'm like, what do you want, son? 32 years old. He's like, well, I'm like, what do you want? But that's the most simplest question you should be able to answer. When
All
someone
right,
asks you, what do
let
you
me
want?
let me rephrase that. All right. Your kid's 17, 18-year old, more than likely they don't know what they want, but
Of
they
course.
but they do, but what specifically, but they do want success. They do want money. They do want free time. They do want to enjoy themselves. So they go, Dad, what do you recommend? What are some skills?
This is
What are
what I would
some
say to my sons. I got 4 sons.
okay.
You might not want to go to school. There's going to be a lot of things you don't want to do. I don't believe in education. I think school is the biggest fucking hoax in American history, right? So I'd say that unless you're going to be, no offense, a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, I think high school curriculum hasn't changed in years. I think AI can teach you a lot. YouTube can teach you a lot. Honestly, I think you get an education at home for free a lot better than 99% of the schools out there. And that's a fact, in my opinion. So I have no belief in the school system. But what I do believe in this, school teaches you how to socialize, get along, go through the process. Now you're 17 years old. Why would you not go to school, son, to go get your master's? Are you going to be better off knowing how to do micro and macro, right? Are you going to be better off with those skills? Absolutely. Are you going to be better off knowing how accrual accounting works, cash accounting works? Are you going to be better off understanding how trends work in business, right? So if you want to be successful, why not go to school for 4 years, 5 years? Have fun while you're there. You don't have to get straight A's. Get C's. See your way through school. See your way through school. And are you better off with that degree when you're 21, 22, or 23? Or are you better off without it? Which one's going to give you more options? You might never use that degree, but you'll probably have more options with that degree. So for me, go get your degree, go be a kid, have fun. Then it's, okay, you want to build a business? Let's see what kind of business you want to build. I'll help you. We can talk about that. The whole thing about being a fucking YouTuber and a gamer and all this bullshit, I failed as a father if that's what my children want to do. I'm not being rude. That's just the odds of one of your kids becoming that are so slim,
Mhm.
right? I live down here in the real world, right? Where people actually have to pay their due to get their due.
So right now, my son's a freshman in college. He plays football, and he's got a lot going on. Trying to juggle that with school. And he's like, Dad, what are some things that I can learn on my own, like on my downtime, maybe on YouTube or Google, that will help me with the future? Maybe like, what do you think about them? Maybe learning about selling or other skills. What are your
If I
thoughts
would
about that?
Communication. I'd rather have my kid be a straight D student all through school, but he could do what me and you are doing right now. Communicate, articulate, and talk well. Listen, you have to be able to communicate to be successful. So I'm all about sales training. I'm all about the way, if that's my son can read a P&L, my son LG, my son Hammer can read half a P&L now. He's starting to get it, right? They
Hmm.
know how to read the profit, the loss. They know what gross profit is. They understand what net income is. They know what percentage of advertising should, so they know how to break it down, right? They know labor cost, they know sub cost, materials cost. I mean, these are the things they understand: appreciation and depreciation. My children, they understand what marketing is. I think if you can tell your son to go learn those things and understand what it is, he's going to be so much further than anyone else. We do not teach kids financial literacy. The reason why most doctors don't scale their businesses and lawyers, you want to know why? Because they master their craft, but they don't master business.
100%.
And that's not a shot at you or anyone else. That's just a
No,
fact.
I agree, because you're so focused on treating patients and learning that skill, and you get out and you start getting a lot of money, and you're like, okay, this is going to last forever, but it don't. Then
Well,
what? You know?
but your ideal of what money is changes. I was so grateful when I made my first $20,000. I remember thinking I was living with my sister Janine, and we were renting a townhouse. I was 18, 19 years old. I just got out of jail, and she took me in with her. And I'm like, God, man, I made 20 grand this year. It's like 22 grand. I was so blessed. From the bottom of my heart, I was so blessed. Then I went to 30,000. I was blessed. Then I went to 50,000. I was blessed. Then I made 100,000. I was blessed. Then I made $500,000. I made $1 million. I made a few million. I just kept going. And every stepping point, I felt so blessed. But what you realize as you're making money, the money doesn't go as far as you think. Because what happens is your appetite becomes bigger. Your eyes get bigger. Your wants get bigger. Not your needs, your wants. So yeah, I mean, it just becomes relative. When you're a dentist, and let's just say you're doing $2 million in business or $1.5 million in business, but you're running at 20%, you're doing 300,000. I got people selling roofs making 300,000 that doesn't have 1/10 of the headache of having to go to school for 12 years or 10 years. I mean,
And
it's all relative.
here's their thoughts. We start off so far in the hole, 3, 4, $500,000. It's like we're trapped. We can't go work at Starbucks and pay off a $500,000 student loan bill. So we work and we work, and then we get to the point where we're like, man, a lot of us should just, the insurance just reimbursements keep going down. What patients pay us go down. There's more bureaucracy, more regulation, and people just get fed up with it, but they feel trapped. And that's why I
Never
reach out.
trapped. There's always options. I
That's,
say to people, there's always options. You're never trapped. I mean, there's a lot
they
of
feel
bright.
trapped. They feel
It,
trapped.
well, so I always tell people this. I really don't give a shit about your feelings, because if I don't care about my own feelings, why would I care about yours, right? Like I said, like to people, like people, well, I feel this. Well, you'll never hear me say I feel, right? Because I'm still going to get up and work 12, 15 hours a day, no matter how I feel. Good day, bad day, doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I have to do, no matter what my feelings are, right? If you do happen to start listening to your feelings and you don't like what you feel inside, you got to change it immediately. Like, your mind's the most powerful thing. If I ever felt trapped, like, here's a true story. I got married, right? I have an ironclad prenup. My wife hates when I tell people that. But I literally got married. My house was paid all the time. We flew home from getting married. The first thing I did was sign my house over to my wife. And she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You'll never be trapped with me. I never want that mental backlog in the back of your home, in the back of your house. You stay with me. If you don't love me, you want to be with someone else, roll out. But you never have to worry about where you're going to live."
So were you raised like that? Did you see that in your parents? Where did you get that from?
Nah, my father was an abusive alcoholic, piece of shit. Just not a good man. I didn't speak to my dad, for 40 years, 42 years, even today he died. My mom tried. My mom was a single mom, alcoholic, went back and forth. Listen, my mom, I give my mom credit. My mom always showed up. She had a tough life, really tough life. 9 boys, every boy's seen a prison cell, orphanage, group home, foster care systems, you name it, locked up, fist fights. I mean, just wasn't your typical life. So no, I didn't see that, but I tell people change is hard, but you got to be the change you want to see and believe in. And you can't go around and just say it. You got to do it. So for me, I knew, I believe people make mistakes. I think things happen in life. For me, with my wife, I want my wife to know she has options. She's never going to feel trapped. If she doesn't want to be with me, I want her to know I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to do the right thing. And that's why I did that. If you don't want to be with me, listen, why would I want someone with me that doesn't want to be with me?
It's awesome. Well, Lance, that's why I reached out to you today, because you're just a genuine dude. You're out there, you're helping people. You'll open your doors to people, and really, really successful people. They don't do that. They're like, pay me 50 grand a year or whatever to see my playbook. And that's what really attracted to me me to you on the Bradley podcast.
I just have the abundance mindset. I just think there's enough money to be made out there. I don't have to make money off of every single person. So, and there's nothing wrong with the people that want to. Listen, obviously, I'm good friends with Bradley, Andy, and that's their playbook, right? I make money off of coaching. That's their livelihood. My money isn't off of coaching people. So you heard me say, I don't coach people, right? That's not what I do. But if you want, and I'm not saying I have all the answers, because when these people walk through my doors, the greatest part about it is my mind is so open. There hasn't been anyone that hasn't walked through my doors that I haven't at least learned one or two things from them. So they think they're coming here, right? And they are getting a wealth of knowledge from my whole entire team and everyone, but I'm also being rewarded. Why should I charge you for that?
That's good. That's powerful. So if people want to learn more about you or what you do or get in touch with you, how do they do that? And I'll put the links below this video.
They can email me at lance@lbcap.com or just call my cell phone, 215-796-4393, 215-796-4393, or ring right here. It goes off all single day. If I don't get back to you, eventually I will.
Powerful, man. Appreciate you doing. Keep it up.
You too, man. Nice talking to you. I enjoy it. Let me know when it's up. I'll share it with everyone.